Hello everyone and welcome to Chat with Nene Alice. If this is your first time tuning in to Chat with Nene Alice, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to send in your comments. Viewers, I also want to let you know that there is a bell button at the edge of this page that you can just click whenever you want to be the first person to get these videos. Also, you can share the video if you've learned a lot and you want to share to someone else. Don't forget to share the video. Today, viewers, we're going to talk about the changes in our bodies as women, and we are going to limit it to girls as the transition from teenagehood to adulthood. And today I have with me Regina Saffa, who is a development expert who also has a passion for women and girls. She is also a mentor. She has mentored a lot of girls that are in position of trust today. She is also a fashion designer, and like I normally tease her to say, Chakmano de open bar also, where you leg close, for open till a show. But she's doing well in that, and I know how long she has been on the fashion business. She is also an educationist because she has a primary school that she runs, and she is the proprietress for that primary school. And at the moment, she is working for NACSA, and she is the program director or the director of program. So viewers, I have the pleasure to introduce Regina Saffa, who is gracing our stage today. Regina, welcome. And do you want to say a few words to viewers before we start the conversation?
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and listening to us. I'm also an ardent fan of Talk to Nene or Talk with Nene Alice, and I'm happy to be here today and to share my experiences, because it's mostly my experiences, having been doing it for so many years.
Okay, so viewers, like I said, we're going to start the conversation on the changes in our bodies, and today we will limit it to girls, changes in the bodies of girls as the transition from teenagehood, adolescence to adulthood. So first of all, Regina, I want to ask you, what are the physical changes of a female body during adolescence?
Several changes. Sometimes we think that we understand how the female body works. You don't have to be an expert, a reproductive health expert, to be able to know the changes that happen. First, as a woman yourself and as a mother, it's very critical that we take signs of that. But the most common signs are puberty. And puberty has a lot of signs. First of all, you will see the girl will start growing pubic hair. The breasts will grow, and they will become very sensitive and tender. They will have armpits, pubic hair, like I said. The hips will start widening a bit. They will get a curvier body. And then they start paying a lot of attention to themselves, and body odor. It comes naturally, and even vagina discharge. And sometimes they are confused. Girls may not know what is happening to their bodies. But us as parents are supposed to be very, very sensitive to those changes and be able to guide them and provide the proper hygiene guidance for them when they reach that stage. So there are a lot of changes that can happen. And alongside those changes, there is also another significant aspect that we normally ignore, that we don't pay attention to. And why do I say significant? In as much as the body changes, there are also other social needs that happen alongside. And that is what we forget most of the time, Nene, as I was saying to you earlier. And one of those needs, for example, is the need to socialize, the need to expand your networks, the need to spend more time with your friends than family, the need to be independent, the need to belong. There are so many other needs. The need to have some kind of power, the need to enjoy yourself. A lot of people respond to these changes in different ways, depending on your temperament and also your constitution. For most people, for most young girls, they become, especially those who are, what should I say, frisky extroverts, they will want to spend more and more time with friends rather than family. And this is where peer pressure actually comes in, you know. And those who are quiet, maybe on a little bit on the quiet side, you will see them being introverts. They are satisfied with their own company. They may not even participate even in family gatherings and things like that. So a lot of changes occur, and if we do not as parents respond properly and provide the proper guidance, this is where the girls go astray.
Okay, so can I just ask you, are we talking about a particular age bracket here?
Yes. You know, when you talk about adolescence, there's a lot of disagreement, you know, about the age bracket. Some people will say 9 to 15 years. That's an adolescent. That's the preteen, you know. And then from 15 to 20, they think those are the teenagers. You know, that's the age that you have gone past adolescence. But for me, I think there is a very thin line between being an adolescent and a teenager. And I normally will use them interchangeably because the symptoms are the same. The things that they want to do are the same, you know, except that when you reach the age of 20, which development psychologists have described as early adulthood, you start to see them settling down a little bit.
Yeah, but let me just interrupt you. For me, over the years, I have realized that our children transition into adulthood, the age of 18 to 25, seems like a turbulent time for them. You know, some of them will see themselves as if they have arrived, they are now adults, while some will, you know, those who are introverts will just take the back seat and you don't see them, you know, making the kind of push. And I have realized that most of the mistakes we make are within those years. I don't know how you see that as well.
I partly correct, but on the average, you know, that's the time girls really want to have like stable relationships. For example, they have this need for intimacy. That is the time they start developing their sexual characteristics. Their secondary sexual characteristics, because the primary, of course, we've seen it during puberty and the biological, you know, attributes that we have. But this is the time that they really start developing, you know, their secondary characteristics, where they long for stable relationships. They are forging, you know, career paths and things like that, and they don't want to be, I mean, unlike men, you know, for the boys, that is the time they think they should be gallivanting all over the place. That's the time they want to burrow into any hole that they see. And if you look at them, that's the time that they want to spread their wings in terms of, you know, trying their, involving in sexual exploits. Whereas the girls, at that age, they are now beginning to realize and recognize the fact that this is the age that I should be getting married. This is the age that I should be having children. Because for us, there's a limited time, you know, between age 18 now, I mean, on to maybe 30, 35. And after that, it's a problem to even get pregnant. It's a problem to even get married. And for most cultures, by 25, you should be married. You know, so for women, the psyche changes at that
So
time.
don't you think that there are certain stereotypes that are limiting us? Because I know I can get pregnant even before I reach menopause, which for some people it's like 50, 55. And the issue of marriage, don't you think those are all stereotypes that you think the girl should conform to?
Yeah, those are societal expectations, like I said. You know, and that is why girls or women of that age feel pressured to have long-term relationships that may result in marriage and children. That puts the extra, you know, pressure on them to be able to do that. And I remember you did ask me that those are some of the times that girls would think, oh, I have arrived. You know, I did say that there are other social changes that go along, the independence, you know, of it all. You think I think I should be allowed to be taking decisions now that, concern my life.
Yes.
And that is the time parents are expected to change the roles from being a life manager, for example, to a life advisor.
Yes.
Where you allow them to actually take charge. That does not mean that you are going to take the back seats completely, but allow that space where she can take the risk, make the mistakes, and correct those mistakes without, based on the outcomes of what they have done, without the criticism. And I think that's the bottom line.
Let's talk about puberty, because it's a conversation that most of the time we do not have with our girls, particularly those of us that have girls or have girls that we mentor. I know there are so many changes in some cultures. Puberty is celebrated.
Yes.
And you hear people talking about breast. They put something on the breast to press the breast so that it doesn't come out. Some people talk about the purity club, and all of that, and that is where you begin to emphasize that the girl should remain virgin until she decides to get a partner, and all of those things. So what are some of those things that you must recognize? And for me, I think they are of essence that we should talk about, instead of talking about breast strengthening or talking about issues around virginity and all of that. What are some of those things as parents or as mentors that we should be having conversation around with girls that we mentor or that we look after?
Okay, in as much as the girls have responsibilities, we as parents also have a role to play. I mean, fortunately, some of those barriers that go, against talking about issues of puberty are losing momentum. I would first of all like to talk about menstrual hygiene, for example. Most of us growing up didn't have a parent who would come to talk to you about what to expect when you reach puberty. And these days they come early, from age 13, they're already having their menstrual period, their menstruation, which we also call period, monthly period. And we will want to also recognize the work of the First Lady, in that area, that she has broken through barriers, gone to communities, gone to schools in particular. Because you and I know that girls have stayed home, away from school, because they are having their menses. Because the cultures that they have grown up in tell them, when you are having your menses, you are unclean. You should not associate, with people. They make you feel like you are not worthy, and that it was a defect or a deformity to have menstruation. But that is what being a woman is all about, and we should celebrate it. And we should be able to talk to our children on how to manage it. I'll share something with you that happened with my daughter that calls me Mama, actually my granddaughter that I've raised. You know her very well. They started doing, I think, family life or something, and they were talking about menstrual hygiene. And all her classmates were excited, asking questions and this and that, and she was just sitting down there, maybe giving answers and things like that. And she came home and she said to me, Mama, you don't know what happened today. We started talking about menstruation and menstrual hygiene today. And my friends were all excited, they were asking questions, and they said to me, why aren't you asking questions? You seem to know everything. And she said to them, yes, because Mama talks to me about it. I tell her what to do, what to expect at that age, even before she started her menses. And how the first time she had it, I spoke to her on how to, prepare herself, how to clean herself, how many times she should change her pads a day, and why she needs to do that, why she should have a bath, how she should take care of the body odor and all of those things. So I really actually took her through that step by step. And we should start talking to our children, to our girls about this. I mean, if you don't talk about it, they are going to find out about it everywhere. The internet has taken over the lives of our children. Social media. So if you don't tell them, they'll get misled, because it's not everything that you read on social media that is, true. And they know that they can get information from the internet, but they don't go to the internet to get the information that they require. They have other things they look for. So you should change that negativity from internet, to a positive trend. That this is somewhere I can have information that I can use for my own personal education and schooling. Because I know that every other thing that we do, the social aspect of it, is the education that we get. I mean, incorporated with the schooling. I like to, differentiate those things. You can go to school, you can be literate, but that doesn't mean you are educated when you don't have the life skills that can help you function.
I know you are an expert in life skills as well. So,
Reggie,
Reggie, I want us to talk about body odor.
Oh.
Because sometimes you're in a company of young girls and you get very strong body odor. And it's associated to, adolescence, teenagehood, and even transition into adulthood.
Yes.
So what are some of those strategies? Because it's natural. It's not something that they go and, put on themselves.
Yes.
It's something that comes natural as their hormones change and their body parts develop. So what are some of those advice you think that we can give to our girls so that they know that when they begin to experience body odors, these are some of the things that they should do?
First of all, I want them to allow themselves to be girls, the girls that they are. And to do things and look after themselves properly, not because of anybody, but because of themselves, for their own self-esteem and for their own beauty. Why do I say this? You see girls keeping pubic hair, for example, and when they talk to themselves, they will tell you, oh, my boyfriend likes pubic hair. I mean, it's not about your boyfriend. It's about you, and we know about that at that age, whether you like it or not. They will pay attention to boys. They will have a crush, and they will want to go by those standards. But don't live by the standards of any boy, but by your own standards and personal hygiene. Some of those girls that can afford it will use deodorant, but that's secondary. Make sure you have your bath. Wash regularly. Wash yourself regularly. And if you cannot afford cream or body splash, use lime. It's very easy, it's cheap. Just use the lime to clean yourself. Your armpits, between your legs, the crevices of your bum, your hips, and all of those things, everywhere that does not get air all the time. Make sure you do that regularly. Morning, evening, if you can. If you cannot do it every day, at least 2 or 3 times a week, try to do that.
In this kind of climate that we have, you should be doing
hot.
it every day.
Yes, and the other thing that I have, when you are also around that age, it's very easy to get, other infections that are not necessarily STIs. You can get other infections. And I want to share this. I am Catholic, but the way I grew up, I will want to share that because I think it will help most girls. Even when I use the restroom, whether it is just to ease myself urine or to do the big job, I use water. Water is good. Water is life. Water keeps you clean. And even when you have your friends, it's not good. You are in the midst of people, and some people may not want to embarrass you to tell you, but I will always tell them, if I see you smell strongly, I will tell you, I think you should pay a little bit more attention, and not in a way of criticizing you. I will tell them, I said, me, I use this regularly, and I advise everybody to use it. It really helps us. We need to look good and feel good, just for ourselves. You don't do it like you are criticizing them or you smell bad. You just tell them, these are some, I find a way to introduce, the subject to you, and then just share my own experiences, put you on the same level, so that you don't feel like I'm being condescending or talking down on you. But I think that's what we should be doing, and I hope this is useful. Water is life.
Yeah, I do not want to stop talking to you, but then we have to stop. So finally, as a mentor and as somebody who so many people look up to, do you have an inspirational message to give to our viewers before we say bye-bye?
Really, my message is for us, the parents, that we should recognize that alongside puberty, there are all of these other social connections and social needs, and we should respond to them. We should respond to them. If you don't, they are going to go outside, and that's when they get involved in drugs, alcohol, and gangs, and all of those things, because we have not satisfied the social aspect of puberty.
Thank you so much, Regina. It's a pleasure talking to you, and I
Thank you very
can't
much.
stop.
Thanks.
But then know that we have to talk some more as to how as we progress in life, because you know there are other issues.
Yes, there
when,
are.
When you cross 40 going,
Yes.
you experience changes to your body,
A
and
lot
you
of
talk about
changes,
menopause
yes.
as well. So I'll have to have a second part
We
of
should.
this conversation with
We
you.
should. I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because like part of my readings that I do and research, they tell me the ages of 20 to 40 is early adulthood, and 40 to 60 is middle adulthood. And that's the time we have menopause.
Okay, so we'll have to come again and
We
let's
should
talk
come back
about
and talk
that,
about that.
so that viewers can benefit from your wealth
Yes.
of experience.
Thank you,
so
everyone.
much. It's a pleasure having you. And viewers, we've been talking to Regina Saffa, and who is a development expert and has so much passion working with women and girls. And it was a pleasure having her in our studio. So if this is your first time tuning in to Chat with Nene Alice, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to send in your comments. Also, don't forget to share the video. Thank you for listening to us, and have a pleasant day. Thank you.